Unexpectedly, my latest Helldivers video talking about the current enemy balance and some of the problems with it actually got some decent traction that resulted in a lot of conversation. A large majority of folks agree that there are some glaring issues when it comes to balance and even offer new concepts to evolve the field without just hitting it with a nerf hammer. Ideas like targeting flesh mob legs to disable them, possibly reducing them to crawling on the ground after collapsing under its own weight, or destroying multiple heads on the body, making it go berserk, attacking anything nearby, even its squid allies. As always with opinions on the internet, especially gaming ones, there are those that disagree, and that's totally fine. To some people, the Illuminate are the easiest faction to fight, and that's okay. Different strokes for different folks. What's also become apparent is just how despised Glazers, or specifically GlazeDivers, are.
For the uninitiated, a Glazer can be described as a type of gamer that usually ignores current issue with a game and pretends they don't exist simply because the problem doesn't exist for them. One of the largest examples of this in Helldivers is usually in response to discussions about Warstriders or the general conversation about balance in the current sandbox. Many people agree that Warstriders could use a more meaningful weak spot on its very tanky body. Considering the Super Chicken has top to bottom heavy armor and a very small weak spot to target at distance, this altogether makes using weapons like the spear gun, heavy machine gun, railgun, or other weapons that are heavy pen but not explosive anti-tank that also perform perfectly fine on the bot front before Warstriders, generally are a struggle fest when facing Warstriders in the field. As a result, people started to voice their complaints about the Warstriders being a bane on your loadout choices and killing variety in a game with so many implements of death to choose from. Then the GlazeDivers had their responses, basically called everyone that didn't bring anti-tank launchers idiots, and that Warstriders were perfectly fine as they are simply because they never had a problem with it, resulting in a lot of discourse between the people that understood Warstriders had their balancing issues and those that think Warstriders are perfectly fine because they were content running EAT launchers and recoilless rifles till the end of time. Thus, the main issue with balancing we are actually discussing. While there are those that are okay with running the same weapons for the foreseeable future, many are not. Most players remember the state of Helldivers following the big 60-day balancing patch that made practically every support weapon viable for all difficulties. That was quite a bit ago, and since then, Helldivers has devolved into a more restrictive game than before. If you don't have explosive anti-tank in bot territory, Warstriders will be a big problem. If you didn't bring an abundant source of explosives against rupture-strained bugs, you'd struggle with them underground. Bring a loadout to deal with harvesters and flesh mobs, you'll probably be less effective in voteless crowd control. Now, just to make sure it's said out loud, there should not be any single weapon that is capable of effectively eliminating any faction you will encounter when facing all available units. Heavy machine guns are capable of killing anything in the field, but will struggle killing big armored enemies with any sort of speed. You can, however, make a loadout that is capable of covering a large majority of what you will face. Perfect example, my usual bug loadout. Cookout shotgun for crowd control, ultimatum for emergencies, gas grenades for bug holes and crowd control, then gas strike, napalm barrage, recoilless rifles, and a Gatling sentry. Majority of it for clearing out the small to medium sized bugs with a few solutions for the big bugs while not going overboard with anti-tank options. Then we get to rupture strained bugs. They have upgraded armor, so the cookout is a lot less effective at quickly killing rupture bugs. Resulted in me running the Coyote assault rifle for a lot of the first dives in Ocean A, even though I'm not the biggest fan of ARs in bug territory. You need explosives to get them out of the ground, but a recoilless is a poor choice for that, so things like the autocannon are better for general crowd control, while being less than optimal for chargers, bile titans, dragon roaches, and especially bad for cracking Hive Lord armor. Also exchanging my Gatling sentry for a rocket sentry, since it is a better option against big armored bugs, but it just takes one small bug getting too close to make it stop firing shortly before being destroyed. While the gas strike and napalm barrage are still good options for general crowd control, even once below the surface, these aren't the best at killing the big armored bugs. Changes to enemies with little changes to Helldivers creates instances like my friend Rose. Her usual loadout for bots was a fast-moving sniper loadout, using a eruptor, railgun, jump pack with eagle strafe runs, and one last stratagem I can't remember. More recent times after the introduction of the Warstrider, the Eruptor and the Railgun both became less effective on the bot front. As a result, she then picked up a recoilless rifle purely for Warstriders that prevents her from using the jump pack like she usually does. The strafe run is still good, but it takes a few passes to kill a single Warstrider, so less than optimal, especially when facing multiple Warstriders. Sadly, Helldivers is starting to be a case of the enemies developing, but Helldivers not developing equally like I just mentioned. In the balance update with Into the Unjust, rupture-strained bugs, dragon roaches, and hive lords were added, but the only buffs the Helldivers got were for the orbital EMS and smoke strike impact projectiles, with stunning as a whole getting some rebalancing. Before that, the Epoch got an accuracy improvement independent of any enemy additions, but we can all admit
the Epoch should have released with the accuracy it has now. When War Striders were introduced mid-July, stunning weapons got a few buffs, bayonets got increased stagger force, urchin grenades can now stun large enemies, incendiary grenades burn for longer, flame sentries getting reduced cooldowns with some fireproofing, the escalator got slightly better stun power, and buffs to the firebomb and stun pod boosters. But in hindsight, a lot of these buffs went unnoticed once War Striders made their very explosive introductions. Except that change about bleeding, because now anytime you're put into a state of bleeding, you're already low enough health that it's practically an instant kill if you're put into a bleeding state anyways. All in all, there could be a few reasons why the sandbox of Helldivers 2 is in a rough state. Some post-launch enemies being not the best in terms of balanced designs, the reduced rate of buffs occurring for Helldivers, bugs and optimization issues taking priority over sandbox changes, which is frankly excusable, or for the case of the Illuminate sandbox, a lack of variety in total enemies and a limited amount of available mission types. Officially, I still have faith that Arrowhead can improve a lot of what's wrong with Helldivers currently. They made an amazing game and have done well keeping it entertaining even approaching its second anniversary, with the average modern Call of Duty relying on cosmetic packs and ill-fitting crossovers to keep basic interest. While every warbond hasn't been the next democratic detonation level of top tier, they are still coming out with many nifty weapon concepts. Recent history has been a little rough, but we must remember Arrowhead is still a smaller developer with allegedly about 140 employees, while primetime Bungie would have had well over 1,000. Things might take a little longer to change for the better, but Arrowhead hasn't given us reasons to doubt their ability quite like Bungie has. Either way, let me know what you want to see come to Helldivers in the near future. I'm sure everyone wants an optimization update first, but afterwards, what are you hoping for? Some form of blanket balancing patch for Helldivers and enemies alike, an update expanding the Illuminate to be a little more fleshed out than they are currently, the automaton equivalent of a Terminated Hive world? Whatever you are hoping for, I'm looking forward to further conversations. If you enjoyed this video, a like and subscribe goes a long way in helping out my channel. I've been loving the conversations with all the different perspectives, even having a few discussions that started less than constructive that became a pretty solid take after some clarifications. Sometimes you actually gotta talk to people to understand what they are saying in the end. But on that note, my name is the Mad Scorpion, and I will see you in the next video.